Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. My name is Peyton. I am the well-seasoned traveler. I am a hotel consultant and event planner, conference planner, and I also help Black and Brown folks leave the U.S. and find their happiness and joy in other countries around the world. So today I want to talk a little bit about if you are ready to leave, right? You are thinking about leaving, you know you want to go. Are you ready to go? Could you hop on a flight, in the next few weeks? And this is just a short list of things that you need to consider as you are looking to leave the US, even if it's only for a few months. If you're taking something like a break or a gap year or something along those lines, I highly recommend, by the way, checking out Stephanie Perry and Rashida Dowd. They both specialize. Stephanie Perry specializes in house sitting and gap years, and Rashida Dowd does From Burnout to Bliss, taking a career break. So two women I strongly recommend that you check out. But let's talk a little bit about your break. So you've got some time, maybe it's only 3 months, maybe it's the entire year. What do you need to have prepared in order to actually leave the US and go find happiness elsewhere? Number one, you need to have your budget settled. And with your budget, you need to have some oh shit money and some gotta get out of here, gotta go money, right? So you need to know how much you're going to be spending throughout the time that you're away, but you also need to have some backup in case you get someplace and you decide that you hate it, which happens frequently. You'll want to make some contingency plans for that. And also, in case you get someplace and you want to fly out to someplace else, decided it doesn't work, you want to have some contingency plans for that. So budget is obviously the most important thing that you need to have in place as you are looking to leave either the US permanently or looking to leave for a few months and take a little break and check out the world, do some slow travel. All right, the next thing you need to have is a loose itinerary. Number two is a loose itinerary. You need to at least know where you're going the first couple of stops and maybe where you're hoping to end up. Right? So that way you can it helps budget your money, and it helps you keep you kind of organized in the sense of, like, when I went to Mexico, I hated Merida the first place. I went to Playa del Carmen for the second place, and then it was like, okay, well, I'm here. How do I get to the next place? I hadn't budgeted for flights. Didn't do that. Didn't think about flying in country because I had my itinerary set. I knew every place I was going to go. I knew how long I was going to be there. I overplanned. And when I got to a place that I hated, I didn't have a contingency plan. I didn't have oh no, what am I going to do? I hate it here. I had to stick it out in Merida, but in Veracruz, I split. I took the money and ran. So you need to have a loose itinerary that supports your budget. And with the knowledge that there will be places that you don't like, that you think you're going to love, and that are absolutely not going to be for you, and you're going to want to leave and go someplace else and spend your time and your money elsewhere. So number one is budget. Number two, you need a loose itinerary. Number three, you need to notify your cell phone carrier and your credit cards and your bank cards. You've got to notify your bank. The last thing you want to do is get to another country and have your bank stop. Or your cell phone, which has happened to me. My cell phone stopped working in Mexico, I think. One time, for some reason, I could not get it to work, and I had to wait until I got to the Airbnb, from the airport to the Airbnb, to log on. And thankfully, I had saved the instructions on how to get into the Airbnb because I couldn't use my internet, so I couldn't get into the Airbnb app. Save your instructions. So make sure your cell phone is unblocked and your cell phone carrier knows you're going to be traveling. Make sure your bank cards, you've notified your bank, your credit card companies, let them know that you're going to be traveling. That way they won't put a hold on anything or prevent you from purchasing while you're abroad. The next thing you want to do is get yourself all packed up. And as you're packing, I recommend decluttering. If you are serious about leaving the States and moving someplace else, finding your happiness and joy in another country, decluttering. The US is a capitalist society, a consumerist society. So everybody, with the exception of a few of us, has too much stuff. So as you're packing for your trip, A, don't overpack, but B, as you're packing, start getting rid of stuff. Start thinking about it in the sense of, okay, well, I'm not going to stay here forever. I need to let go of stuff. I can't take the stuff with me. It doesn't make sense to ship your things to another country. It makes more sense, with the exception of some things, right? It makes more sense to just buy in country and leave what you have. The shipping costs, the freight costs for most things is just far too expensive. And unless you are willing to pay it, get rid of your stuff, get rid of your stuff, get rid of your stuff, get rid of your stuff. I might do an entire video on decluttering. I love to declutter. There's nothing that makes me happier than throwing things away, getting rid of things. I am a minimalist. I live out of a couple of suitcases. My mom is on the other side. She is a pack rat. She is a low-grade hoarder. I love that woman to bits and pieces. But she is a low-grade hoarder, so nothing makes me happier than going into her house and getting rid of stuff. Nothing upsets her more than when I go into her house and get rid of stuff. Oh, I love it. It's a fun dance that my mom and I play. But like I said, as you're packing, take into consideration what you need, and then look at the other things that you have and get rid of them, because you are not going to need them. The less that you can take with you to survive, you'll discover you don't need as many things to survive and thrive, not just survive. You simply don't need as many things to thrive. You can thrive more with less stuff. Trust me. All right, so once you've decluttered, make copies of all of your documents, your passport, your credit cards, and your birth certificate, your social security card. Make copies of all of that stuff. Maybe keep a locked copy with you and keep a locked copy back at the US, someone's home, friends or family's home, so that somebody has copies of all of your documents in case anything happens. Knock wood, I've been really, really lucky. I've not had anything happen to me. I did have some friends when I was in grad school who went to Cambodia and had their visas stolen, had their backpacks stolen with their visas, with their passports in it. So they had to try and find a consulate. They were, one was Colombian, one was Mexican. So they had to try and find both a Mexican and a Colombian consulate in Cambodia, get new passports. It just sounds like a nightmare. So make copies, make sure you have copies of things with you, and then make sure you leave copies of things in a safe place back in the States in case anybody, in case you need them and somebody has access to them, okay? And last but not least, make sure that you have friends and family who know your itinerary. I tended to share when I first started traveling. I do this less now. I actually don't do this at all now, and I really should. But when I first started traveling, I booked my Airbnb and it says share this itinerary, and I'd share it with my friends and family so that people would know where, like literally exactly where I was. In case anything happened. So you've got to make sure that you share that itinerary with some people so that they know where you are. I know it's fun to just travel and go, which is mostly what I do if I'm honest, but especially if you're just starting out, share that itinerary, let your friends and family know where you are, not just through IG, but let them know, make sure that they have an address and a phone number of where you are, at least an address, if nothing else, if they can't get a phone number, at least an address of where you are. And if you're staying in Airbnbs, share that information with them too, okay? So you're ready to leave, you're ready to go. 6 things you need to have in place as you're getting ready to leave. Number 1, your budget. Number 2, a loose itinerary. Number 3, make sure your cell phone and your credit card companies have been notified that you are going to be traveling out of state. Make sure you change your cell phone service to international. I said out of state, to international, so that you're not hit with roaming or any of that stuff and you're able to use your cell phone in another country. Also check the country, make sure that country has internet around so that on the times that your cell phone is going to freak out because it's going to, that you can still access internet. Get packed and declutter as you were packing. Declutter as you go. Start decluttering everything now. If your ultimate goal is to leave the US, you really want to leave the US with a couple of suitcases. And that's it. Unless you have, some amazing art is kind of the only thing. Books, maybe. Those are really the only things that I could think of that I would consider shipping. Everything else, I don't have a car. Maybe I would consider shipping a car. Probably not, given the cost. Maybe I would consider, especially countries like Mexico, their sofas are awful. So maybe if I had some sofa that I loved, I would consider shipping it. Oh, I'd have to look at the money. There's just shipping just really does not make a whole lot of sense. Let your American life go. Let it go, right? Let the consumerism go. Understand that other people live with far less than we live. So I'm a huge, huge fan of decluttering. I'm a huge fan of getting rid of things. All right, so declutter, make copies of all of your documents, and let someone know what your itinerary is as you are as you are traveling. Make sure someone knows where you are at every step of the journey and how to get in touch with you aside from just your cell phone, where they can find you at every step of the journey as well. All right, I hope this helps you. Thanks for joining me. Please click the like and subscribe button. Please let me know if you have any tips, any thoughts that you have as you were getting ready to leave the US or go on an extended trip. Any things that you wish you had known or that you found to be super helpful. I'd love to hear those as well. So please share that with me. Thank you so much for your time this morning. I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. Bye-bye.